The AgWeek Soil Health Minute is sponsored by the North Dakota Corn Council.
In this month's episode of the Soil Health Minute, Abbey Wick gets answers to some questions about managing prevent plant weeds and using cover crops in extremely dry conditions, which much of our area is seeing now.
With so many prevent plant acres last year, I've been getting a lot of questions on both weed management and weed pressures for this spring. So I went to NDSU Extension Weed Specialist Joe Ikley to get the answers.
Depending on the outcome of how we manage those acres, we're going to look at a couple of different scenarios for weed control in 2021. And so one of those would be if you manage it only using glyphosate. You can anticipate having a lot of water hemp or mare's tail, whatever survived and went to seed, out there as your primary challenge in 2021. If you did not manage the prevent plant at all for weed control, just let it go, whatever happened to go to seed went to seed. Those are the type of fields you're going to have a variety of different weeds, some you may not have even seen before popping up this year. That doesn't necessarily mean they're difficult to control, but we're going to have to spend some money on a broad spectrum product.
With the dry conditions in our region, what do we need to watch out for with overwintering cover crops?
If we don't get much in the way of moisture relief, that's when we might start thinking about early termination of those cover crops. I know we want the soil benefits, but at some point, when we're talking about moisture conservation, it almost becomes like a weed. Think about early termination, trigger that termination of that cover crop as soon as possible to try and preserve moisture for your cash crop.
As much as I love cover crops, it's especially important to manage them in these dry conditions.